Hello, lovely entrepreneur, and welcome to our YouTube video on 7 design tips when using Elementor and WordPress to help you create better websites faster. I'm Tasha from Lady Boss Studio, where we help service providers, coaches, and consultants to create outstanding brands and websites to help them grow their online presence and grow their business. If you enjoy this video, we would love for you to subscribe below so you can follow along with all of the great content that's coming up. Now let's go ahead and dive right in.
All right, welcome to the inside of my computer where we're going to go through our top favorite Elementor design tips. Here we are in one of our WordPress Academy templates, and I'm going to edit with Elementor and then walk through these one by one with you. Let's go to edit with Elementor. And first up, while this is loading, we are going to be covering the Elementor site settings when you choose to use Elementor's theme builder to build your entire site. You are gifting yourself the ability to make site-wide changes in design in seconds. So I want to go ahead and show you the power of that first. If we navigate up to the top left-hand side here to this hamburger icon, we go to site settings, you will see that from typography, buttons, global colors, your actual background of your entire site, these are all editable within minutes. So first up is the fonts. So I've got some predetermined fonts here. Those sizes are already determined for desktop, for tablet, for mobile, so that every single time I bring in a new heading, a new text widget, I already know that it is the right size for that device. So I'm not stuck then having to go through each one of those devices and change those every single time. That can be extremely time consuming. But the power of having the theme style for typography and setting that site-wide is if down the road I decide I actually don't like this font. I'm changing my branding, maybe I want to go to a much simpler font. I can go now make this change and it will be reflected everywhere across my website in just a few clicks, in just a few seconds. So if we go over here to typography, you can see first is the body and the body color, then we've got the links, and then we've got all of our headings from H1 all the way down to H6. So if I go right over to H1 and I decide I actually want my H1s to be this color, and I'm going to go and change and pick a different font. So I'm going to go and pick Montserrat, just so you can really see the difference, and then I'm going to choose the appropriate size. So now, and even though this doesn't particularly look that amazing here, but whatever font I change it to anywhere across my entire website where I currently have an H1 heading will be updated instantly. That is the power. You can do that with H2, H3. You can do that with your actual body copy as well if I wanted to change that. So let me go ahead and revert that back to what it was. And again, you can see, I'm just going to put that back to the 45. You can see that it updated that automatically. If I go back here and I go to buttons, you can see here I've got the yellow button that hovers into this turquoise color. I can then choose that I want the original color for this button, maybe to be the turquoise to start off with. I can go and maybe I want this to be rounded instead, and it's going to create rounded buttons across my entire website. And perhaps for a hover color, I want this to actually go light with the darker text instead. And again, this is now reflected once I update it across any button on my entire website. As I scroll, you can see here all of these buttons are now rounded and following that exact same style. If I go back up, I could also go and add a box shadow. If I were to go here, let's just pick a dark gray color. Oops. Let's see, I don't want to blur. Oops. Do it again. For some reason, I think Elementor needs me to just refresh it. But the box shadow would literally show up anywhere I wanted that to show up. And it really, oh, it's because I was doing the hover. That's why. Okay, so let's try that again. There we go. Now you can see there's that shadow everywhere. So I'm going to get rid of the blur, and then I'm just going to move that off a little bit. If I wanted to have that shadow effect again on every single button throughout the whole website, I can do that in a matter of clicks. I'm actually not a fan of that, so we're going to leave that, but I'm going to leave those buttons to just be rounded for now. The other thing that I find amazing is, so let me just go back. I don't actually want to save that. And I'm going to, you can actually, as a last side note here, the background, if you didn't want the background color of your entire website to be white as a default, you could actually go ahead and set that. And you can pick any color that you want. So if I wanted that to be a gray, you can see here that just changed automatically behind my header. If I wanted it to be a bit of a lighter color one, like a soft cream or light gray, you could have that update. So automatically any section, any white space in your whole website would now become this gray color. As I scroll, you can just see here, this was white and now it's gray. Same thing with here. So you literally have the ability to make these site-wide changes in a matter of seconds to completely change the look of your website, especially if you are rebranding. Not to mention, even if you're creating a site from scratch, this makes it really, really, really easy on you in order to make sure that everything feels consistent design-wise across your whole website. So I'm going to exit out of this for a second and I let that save. So I'm going back into the actual Elementor editor. Now, this is our header. As you can see here, this is what the header that will be visible across our entire website. If I wanted to, for any reason, make a change, it's as simple as clicking on Edit Header. I'm going to save the changes from the actual page. And now, let's just say I decided I actually wanted maybe my logo in the middle and I wanted my menu on the sides instead. It would be as simple as dragging these over to the middle. Now I would look and make sure that the percentages match perfectly so that I had the equal distance on both sides. You don't have to get that specific at the moment, but it would be as simple as moving my menu over to one side versus the other. I could get rid of the call to action button. And in the back end of WordPress, I would simply create the two different menus, the left side and the right side. But it is as simple as dragging this really wherever I want to drag it. As soon as I hit update, that's updated across my entire website. I don't have to go into any other pages to make sure that it's looking the way I want it to. It will update everywhere, again, in a matter of seconds. Exact same thing applies to your footer. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom and I were to select my footer, I could then edit my footer, do anything I wanted there, and it would show up across my whole website. It really is amazing. The last quick little setting when it comes to site-wide changes that can be affected anywhere, I'm not going to keep this header because I don't want that to save. But if I were to go back to the front end of my website and I were to go to my blog, I have a sidebar on both my blog archive and I have a sidebar on my blog single post. So I can either go into the blog archive, which is the listing of all of the blog posts, or I can go into the sidebar of the blog archive, and whatever change I make here will automatically be applied to every single blog post, past or present or future, that I have in a matter of seconds. Let's say maybe I changed my Twitter link changed, or I don't have Twitter anymore. I could go ahead and edit this sidebar in seconds, and then every single previous blog post would be automatically updated. If I was doing a promotion for a new thing in my business, I can go add it to my sidebar. Every single blog post, like I said, from the past, what I'm currently working on, what's coming in the future, will all have that thing. And then the promotion ends and I want that to go away. I simply open up the blog sidebar, a single post, and or blog archive post, single sidebar, and I can edit that out and just simply get rid of it. So the fact that you can make these site-wide changes in seconds is an absolute game changer, and one of the big reasons why we use Elementor in the first place. So that is number one, the ability to go ahead and make site-wide changes to your website in seconds. Next up is the ability to copy and paste elements from one page to another to make designing your website incredibly easy on you. For example, I'm going to go ahead and open my Programs and Services page in a new tab. I'm going to go here and go Edit with Elementor. So I'm open, so I have the home page open in Elementor, and I'm going to go over to the Programs and Services page that I'm already in, and I'm going to select Edit with Elementor there as well. Going back to my home page, if I came down here, and I'm just going to scroll to a specific section. So here's why you do what you do. So when it comes to the way we design websites, there are many sections that you will see over and over on different pages because, again, good marketing is repetition. It also means that it gives your audience an opportunity to actually see what it is that you have there. You'll also notice that all of our copy is extremely concise and to the point, so that there are no distractions for your audience. They know exactly what it is that you do and how it is that you can help them achieve that goal or that result that they are looking for. So if I were to come here and this is in the default template, this is clearly not, me or clearly not you, we can go and change this image out. Let's just pretend this is you here. Change the image. I were to come and I were to type in all of this information here, which would be as simple as, hi, I'm Maya. I help. I can't spell. All right. I am actually going to cut that. And I'm going to put it here. All right, so we'll just pretend that there's a lot more information here. Not too much more, but more than what is here. But I've already edited this section. I don't want to have to do this again in order for this information to show up on another page. So I can simply come over to this section. I can right click or command click if you're on a Mac, copy, go over to the page that is open in Elementor, and this is that exact same section. All I need to do is hit the plus, right click again or command click and paste. And that section is there and done, and I can just go and delete this one. And that is how easy it is to copy and paste elements from one page. This can be a section that you're copying over, and this can be a widget that you're copying over, a button, really anything that you want. You can also copy columns. It's a little bit trickier when it comes to columns, but sections and individual widgets themselves are incredibly easy and will save you hours in design time when you are just copying and pasting from one page to another, and then slightly editing if you need to. So that was number 2, how to copy and paste from one page to another. Number 3 is how to crop an image without having to spend hours of time in Canva or Photoshop trying to get the right size beforehand. As an example, if I scroll up here, you can see here that this image was brought in as a square. I haven't done anything to it. If I click on the actual image itself and I go and find that image, it's this one right here. You can see here it is 2500 by 2560 by 2560 pixels, which is actually a really big image and should actually be a lot smaller, but it's just a placeholder for stock photo. If I were to go and now choose an image that is not square, like this one right here, this Maddie Piper 4 one, you can see here it's 400 by 500 pixels, and I were to go to insert, I'm throwing the whole design off. So most people would think, okay, well, I need to now go into Canva, upload this image, or go into Photoshop and upload this image, change it to a square, re-download it, then re-upload it to WordPress. You don't need to do that. So if I click on the image, you can see I have it open here where it says image size. I can go to custom, and I can go to 400 by 400 and apply. And voila, it is the exact size I need it to be, so it matches with the rest. Obviously, I knew 400 by 400 because I wanted to pick a ratio of 1:1, of course, and knowing image sizes for the most part as a web designer, I knew that 400 by 400 would do it here. I can just hit update, and all of a sudden that image is exactly the right size I need it to be. You can do that for any image on any page. It doesn't need to be, a smaller one within a column. I could have also decided that maybe I wanted this to be 300 by 600. So a very long and skinny vertical image. I can hit apply, and it will do that for me. So you have full control over the size you want that image to be without needing to crop it ahead of time or lose hours in design time. Next up is a parallax background image. So as you can see here, I believe we have it at the top. As I scroll my mouse, you can see that that background image stays fixed to the background and everything else scrolls over it. This is quite common these days and a design feature that you see on a lot of websites. It's incredibly easy to do this when you are using Elementor. So if I click on the actual section and I go to Style, and I've got my background image here, all I need to do is make sure that the attachment is fixed. By default, it will not be, and the whole thing will scroll together. If I go back and change the attachment to fixed, it will fix it to the background, so that way I can then scroll over it. You can do that with images in the background of sections, and you can also do that with images that are in the background of columns. So if I click on this column and I go to Style, this is the image here that you can see. Again, I can go to Attachment and I can go to Fixed. It will become a larger image because it needs the whole space of her in order to be able to scroll up and down, but you can just see I just fixed that image. I'm going to go back to default because we've already got a parallax image here, so a fixed image at the background here, and then I've got one right below it. So having all three, like one after the other, is a little bit much. So then I keep this image where it needs to be, and the others I will do fixed. Number 5 is the fact that you can anchor or scroll to different sections on a page, or actually different sections on other pages really easily. So for example, if I wanted this call to action button to scroll further down on the page, I could do two things. One, I could put the link and call this, let's say, sign up. Let's say it was I wanted to lead down to the lead magnet sign up section. I could do link hashtag sign up. I could scroll all the way down to my lead magnet section. I can click over to the section. I can go to advanced. I can go to the CSS ID and I can pop in sign up there. So when I scroll up to the top and I click on the button, it shoots me right down to that section, which is amazing. The other thing that you can do, which essentially gives you the exact same result, is going to your Elementor widgets panel, typing in anchor, dragging in the menu anchor. You can see the ID of the menu anchor. So again, we would call this something. So in this case, I'll do it different, sign up, and I'll say 2. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back up to that button, select on the button, and do sign up 2. And the exact same thing will happen. It will bring me right down to that same area. So 2 different ways you can create an anchor. You can also do this when you're linking something over to another page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th favorite design tip that we're going to go over today are motion effects. So as you can see let's just preview this live. As we scroll, you can see that buttons are moving. You can see that button move there, here as well. All the buttons have movement. These 3 areas here, these 3 technically columns have movement as well. So you can do a lot of different movement options very, very easily. So let's go back to our programs and services. I can click on any button, go over to advanced, go over to motion effects, and I can choose how I want that entrance animation to look. So again, you can see here, this is fade and left. I could bounce it in. I could, let's go pick some, I could shake it. So there's so many different entrance animations that you can add here. I will say don't go crazy, because every single time you add an entrance animation, it can potentially, like, it just adds more loading time, right? So if every single element on your entire page has an entrance animation, you can risk slowing down your website. But the simple things like just button movements, having a few images load up, that is not the end of the world. So as an example, let me see if I can find a good one here. Let's go to the home page. All right, so these here, let's look at this on the front end. Oh, I just moved that, that's okay. As we scroll down, you can see that these slide in 1, 2, 3. I just moved that by accident. So in this case, we want the entire column to come in together, right? So this is column 1. Oh, just undo that. Column 1, column 2, and then column 3. So you can actually select the column itself go to advanced, go to motion effects, and you can have the whole column have an entrance animation. It doesn't just need to be on a per widget basis. You can actually do that for the whole column. You can do this for regular images too. You can literally do this for pretty much every widget, section, and column on your website. It's always heading over to advanced and motion effects, and you can choose here. You can actually add a delay as well. So if you want this column to come up first, this column to come up second, and this column to come up third, you're just going to want to add bigger and bigger animation delays. So if I were to click on this one's 200, if I clicked on this one here, you're going to see that it is 400, and then on this one here, you're going to see that it is 600. So depending on how fast and how much of a difference you want between the three, you could obviously increase those. All right, and last up, if for some reason you needed one page background color on your website to be different than all the rest, and your site settings for your general website were white or light gray, but for whatever reason on one specific page, you needed that background color by default to be something different, it would be as simple as going to Settings, Style, and you can change the background type. You can go and pick that color. So for example, only on this page will my background color everywhere show up as this other color that I picked. Now, obviously I wouldn't suggest picking this dark teal color, but just to make it very obvious where that shows up, how it shows up, you can change the background color on a specific page with, again, literally the click of a button. So those are our 7 favorite Elementor design tips. What will help to save you time, help you create a website that looks much more professional, whether that be for you or for clients. If you enjoyed this video, we would love to have you subscribe. There's so much more goodness coming your way. Please follow our channel, leave us a comment below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you soon.